Greetings, YouTube, on what will hopefully still be a happy Friday after we get done talking about some of the preliminary discussions regarding Alliance Quest Season 6. I didn't even know we were on Season 6. I didn't know. I keep track of seasons for Alliance War, not so much Alliance Quest. I got to be honest, every alliance I've ever been in, starting with the very first one years ago, Alliance Quest was something that was kind of a necessary evil to get rewards. It is not something that I get super excited about having fun with, but that's not the point of it, right? It's supposed to be low stress and nice rewards if you have the right champions and you have patience enough to not, overcorrect on fights, and then hopefully you're able to contribute to mini bosses and certainly the final boss of the map. I think ideally for most summoners, Alliance Quest is not something you really want to use items with. In fact, I have been, at least with Map 5, now given Map 5 is not Map 6 and Map 7, but Map 5 alliances, the goal is for no one to have to use any items and for you to just wreck your path even on day 5. You'll lose some health, but at the same time, you'll get through it. And the last couple of Alliance Quest final bosses have been very fair. Kingpin is extremely fair. Just somebody who you basically are patient, you spam that special one, it's easy to counter, and you rinse and repeat. And I have had luck taking down Kingpin with a host of champions. My OG champ that I took him down all the time with was my first love of the game, Star-Lord, who remains a great Kingpin counter. But this new season, Season 6 of Alliance Quest, looks to be, at least in its maybe hopefully will change, but right now preliminary discussion test, going to be about advancing the difficulty of Alliance Quest. And here's my fear with this game. We have seen a pattern between Alliance War seasons, between taking away gifting, where they're just making it less fun to play because fights are harder and the rewards are not worth the effort. Everything in life is a cost-benefit analysis. Pros and cons. Hopefully the pros outweigh the cons. Alliance Quest, I think right now there are a lot more pros than cons, especially with one of the best things that Kabam has ever done, and that's introduce the Glory Store, and now we can even get, though they're very high priced, some Tier 5 basic Callus fragments with your Glory for free, which is awesome. So the MCOC team says, hey, Summoners, over the last year, Alliance Quests have changed a lot. We've had Sentinels added, a new season, new mini-bosses, and even a new map, among other big changes like the addition of Tier 5 basic Callus fragments, which is what I just mentioned. As we move closer to our next evolution, we wanted to give you an early look at Alliance Quest Season 6. We're currently working on this new update to Alliance Quest, and we are hoping to launch Season 6 alongside our 23.1 patch release next month. We are still working on the exact date and the contents of this update, and we will have a formal announcement with more information closer to the launch, but wanted to bring you some of the information we do know as early as possible so you can prepare yourselves for the dawn of Season 6, Mad Titan's Wrath. Yes, that Mad Titan Thanos is who we're talking about. Because the new boss, as with all new seasons of Alliance Quest, Season 6 brings with it a new boss. Season 6's boss across all maps will be the newly released Nameless Thanos. Not that one, don't worry. For those who have been fighting against the Thanos wielding the Infinity Gauntlet in the Avengers Forever event, fear not, Thanos in Season 6 will not have his Infinity Stones, but he will have slightly different nodes than the current Kingpin. So Map 7 and Map 6, you can see you've got that 500% champion boost, 300% health for Map 7, 200% health for Map 6, unblockable specials, heal block, and special chaos inversion. What I appreciate about Map 5 is that I don't see the special chaos inversion because that is one of those things that I really just don't enjoy playing with. Now, the people at the very top will be like, Prof, it's easy, you suck. And maybe all of that is true, but I still don't enjoy it. It's not something that I will enjoy fighting. And I do think, like any boss, right? Because when Dormammu first came out, I thought, well, this is going to suck. And maybe it's because he wasn't awakened either. But it turned out Dormammu was one of those fights that, with that aforementioned Star-Lord, I was able to wreck every time by the end of that season, which I guess was, now that I look back on it, Season 5? Question mark? Or no, excuse me, Season 4. Season 5 is what we are currently in. But yeah, basically, here's my point of this, and this is really going to be the title of this. Alliance Quest, it's about some fun, free rewards and improving your roster for the hard content. The event quests like Uncollected, certainly Alliance War, which continues to drain my soul to the point that I could not be more thankful for the fact that my semi-retired Alliance is going to go to the proposed plan of 2 battle groups instead of 3 for Alliance War next year, or I should say next season, because I just think I'm not going to do it. And the fact that they're giving me the ability to be in an awesome alliance that still gets great rewards, especially for summoner advancement, but doesn't care about my participation in Alliance War is my dream scenario, especially with 5 days of Map 5, where I can actually concentrate on my real job outside of this, at times, godforsaken video game. But here we go. We're going to have a variation of Alliance Quest featuring Sentinels, the return of symbioids, and Ultron drones. The classes of these characters will match, so anywhere you see a skill Sentinel, you'll see a skill drone, etc. And then these minion variations change the same way mini-bosses do, so you'll always see the same minions with the same mini-boss, but in the same way the mini-bosses are randomly selected each series. So for the minions, speaking of mini-bosses, Thanos' arrival means new Guardians on your way to defeat him. Every single map, except Map 7, will feature at least 2 new mini-bosses. So, of course, mini-bosses are determined to have you lose your health. So we will have Hyperion and Scarlet Witch added to Map 5 with Morningstar. Map 6 is going to get Ebony Maw, Mephisto, and Dormammu. Map 7, Omega Red, all the way. That's such a random boss, but at the same time, I'm sure you can lose health pretty fast if you get too close with Omega Red and those spores. Corvus is going to be in Map 4 with Nebula and Deadpool. That shouldn't be too bad. King Group, Proxima Midnight, and Hulkbuster. Maybe you just want to start doing Map 3 and fight against Hulkbuster, at least until he gets some crazy buff, which, I don't know, who knows if that's ever going to happen. Classic Vision, Hela, and Cole Obsidian for Map 2. It seems like Map 3 is going to be easier than Map 2. That's fascinating. And then Guillotine for all of Map 1. I guess that means she's supposed to be a cut above the rest. I don't know. But in general, for my Map 5 play, which is all I care about, Hyperion is going to be, as usual, pretty tough, but at the same time, I look for my OG Vision to help out with that fight. Morningstar always is the same thing with my OG Vision. And then Scarlet Witch, just make sure you bring in a poison immune champ, because one of the things that really wrecks me with Scarlet Witch is when I get poisoned and heal blocked. That just automatically destroys me, especially when I am in Alliance War and have that cursed 3-minute timer, which I guess Alliance Quest, got the same 3-minute timer. Now, if you're like me, you're thinking, okay, this is just about to get harder. I think Nameless Thanos, especially at first until you get him down, is going to be a harder boss fight than Kingpin. These mini-bosses may or may not be harder. I would actually prefer to fight Hyperion and Scarlet Witch over Nightcrawler for sure. But here's the deal. We have, with some updates, and the Map 7 updates I'm not going to go through, but we do have a discussion at the bottom of this on rewards. And I guess we should go ahead and do our due diligence with these buffs. We've crafted some brand new buffs for the season of Alliance Quest. A few of these buffs act as new path identities, and there are also some new ones used in more specific encounters. Special Chaos Inversion, what I just talked about, what I hate. This is only used on Thanos and functions nearly identically to the way Emma Frost's signature ability does, and that the first action after a special attack will be inverted, so forward is back, backward is forward, etc. Hence the word inversion. Freezer Burn, when striking the defender, the attacker has a percentage chance to be inflicted with an Incinerate debuff. Now that sucks, because most champions are not immune to Incinerate, right? And so that could be something that could be a problem, but this buff is exactly the same as the existing Biohazard, which I hate Biohazard, I really do, but instead requires at least an Incinerate immune champion with a specific playstyle. Again, not many champions are Incinerate immune, so you're basically going to have to require that you bring into your very limited 3 attackers for Alliance Quest an Incinerate immune champion, and that is annoying, and definitely something that's going to make Alliance Quest more of a headache, especially if you had a solid Alliance Quest attack team that did not include an Incinerate immune champion before this update. Lionheart sounds like a bad Dorothy of Oz reference. This buff was, and Wizard of Oz with Dorothy, I should say. This buff was, if you remember our Map 7 announcement, originally planned to be on Omega Red when Map 7 launched, but was not working at the time. Now it will replace Indomitable on him. Clapback. This buff is meant to provide a detriment to those who can only deal damage over time. Buffs, but are not immune to them. Characters who have immunity to the damage over time they deal will perform well here, such as Ultron, Mephisto, Korg, and Human Torch. So it's also trying to make you spend for the newer champs like Human Torch, of course. Wonderful. With terminal velocity, especially as it's being used, you'll need to be more careful as the fight goes on about baiting specials and using their true strike champions. Okay, I don't know about you, but I read all this to be like, oh, this is going to just make it harder. I'm not saying it's going to be like impossible. I'm not saying that you're not going to be able to have to, use items, but it's just going to make Alliance Quest tougher, and that's not the point of Alliance Quest, at least not to me. You're supposed to do something that's low stress with solid rewards, and as long as you have skill and patience, you're getting through. But of course, Kabam is doing this to try to get you to spend more units on crazy outdated potions and revives, which is going to be my last point here before we get to the bottom. I'm just going to go through this because this is going to be a 30-minute video if I don't skip on these. I'll pin this as a link as always. So we're going to go all the way down to finally when it says reward updates. It hasn't been long since our last rewards update. That doesn't matter. They need to be updated. And while we want to save our bigger rewards update for a little later, we did want to make some adjustments to rewards with this new season. Many of these are still being finalized, but we do have some goals in mind for Season 6's rewards. First and foremost, we want to increase the availability of Tier 4 Basic and Class Catalyst for early and mid-level users, so the ranked rewards will be seeing an increase in wider distribution of these rewards further down the ranks. The Glory Store will also be seeing reduced cost of Glory Crystals and the class-specific Tier 4 Catalyst Fragments, which I don't think matters much at all to people who already have max T4 CCs in their inventory. It would be much better if they actually expanded the inventory maximums than decrease the price in the Glory Store. So I want to conclude this video by saying a couple things. I read these and I think Kabam's just already trying to get more money out of Alliance Quest. And while I get that they're a for-profit company, this annoys me as somebody that's already pretty burnt out of the game currently with all of the BS, lag issues, bugs, etc. that they have not fixed for the past couple of months. In addition to that, there are just certain things that are anti-player that need to be fixed. The first is it is time. Kabam, if you're expecting us from now on to bring in 5- and 6-star champions, which you definitely are to map 5, 6, and 7, you need to make those Alliance heals in terms of potions and revives way better. They're still scaled right now to 3- and 4-star champions with those health pools. It is not worth the cost benefit of taking up a champ, especially in Alliance Quest, back to full health in order to have them get some glory and some map crystals at the end. It's just not worth the time, effort, or stress. So the potions and revives need to be updated for sure. And then on top of that, you just need to fix your stupid game, right? You need to make fixing the game a priority instead of making the game that's already broken a lot harder. I can't imagine with these new buffs how great this lag's going to be that's wrecked me just this week in Alliance Quest, where I suddenly am dashing back I'm unable to move, and then by the time the game catches up to the lag, I'm wrecked. Now you're adding in all of these tougher nodes, and it's just going to mean that Alliance Quest is not as fun. It's not as much of a breeze, and even though I guess your goal is to make it more difficult and more challenging, that just usually means more burnout faster for the player base. So I'm not excited about these. Hopefully a lot of these are still subject to be improved upon, and I get that we've seen things that on paper looked bad before, and then when you went through them, like say some of the nodes in Act 6, Chapter 1, they weren't too bad. So I'm trying to keep an open mind for that, but at the same time, no one in the community is asking for Alliance Quest to be harder. They're just asking you to fix your damn game. And I realize I don't usually cuss. It's a friendly channel, family-friendly channel, but I mean it. I mean, fix your game. Make sure that potions and revives are more fair. These are not the Alliance Quest changes that we were asking for. Those that I just named are going to be more pro-player and help with the health of your community, not making content that is a necessary evil that much harder in order to steal the cash from your summoners. That's my rant. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you agree in the comments below. And as always, thank you for supporting my Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel.